Hi, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and this is a prophecy for not a singer, but an actor, a famous actor called Tom Cruise. And this is an interesting sort of prophecy, and I'll tell you this because I just got a prophecy today of Matthew's ministry, and I'm talking to him via telepathy, and you may be thinking, how's that happen? Matthew's weird. Well, this is even more weirder. I got a prophecy, and I've watched other people do prophecies through Matthew, and so I was desperate to do a prophecy through Matthew and see if it works. And I'm doing this via the Holy Spirit, and I'm trusting the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God, to give me the words for this. And in normal circles, this is clairvoyancy or psychic, but you can do prophecy and speak like a prophet, like in the Bible. And so this is really exciting. My name's Madonna, and I'm the Christian music. I'm getting warming to this Holy Spirit. I'm a famous musician from 40 years ago. And, uh, sung the song Like a Virgin and Material Girl and other songs that Matthew can't remember. And this personal prophecy, or you could call this a spiritual reading, is going to be over Tom Cruise, and he's one of my heroes. And I would have loved a starring role opposite Tom Cruise. He's my handsome crush, and I would personally, I'm nervous. Matthew's saying you're nervous, that's why you're talking so much. But I'd personally like to be a leading lady and kiss Tom Cruise. So if we can do that on a Christian prophecy, I think every girl could relate to being an actress opposite Tom Cruise. So, Tom, you are a member of the Church of Scientology, and that's not exactly Christian, but you're jumped at this and you're excited when we discussed it. So, bear with me, people. This is Madonna speaking through Matthew, and this is my very first prophecy. And I've watched other people do the prophecies today who've never done it, and I trust that this will happen. And I only talk so much uh, because I'm extremely nervous and I've got a reputation to uphold. So, Tom, it's hard for me because I'm such a fan of you and your movies. And, um, I remember lyrics, and I've sung a lot of songs, and I still remember the lyrics of my songs. And I remember lines out of your movies. You had me at hello. Matthew doesn't remember. I'm using Matthew's intellect. Um, but I remember lines out of your movies, and I've watched every one of your movies multiple times. And I'm just like the most sickest fan that you just don't want to meet them. Like they're just talking to you all the time. So uh, it's interesting that I know so much about you, but um, I'm still nervous. So the first word I hear, I'm sorry for all the nervousness. The first word I hear is breakthrough, and it's going to be a breakthrough in family matters. Something has happened in one of your marriage breakdowns that caused great distress. This could be a custody issue or a fight or some sort of damage that was done to you or damage that you did to one of your former wives. And you've given uh, thought to it, you've given hope to that being resolved. And it's one of your most cherished hopes. And 2020 has been a year of sadness for the world and shift for the world, and we're entering a new normal. But 2021 is 21, you turn 21, you have a 21st birthday. 21, I'm saying for you, is going to be the answer to that brokenness and that unresolved issue. You're going to have breakthrough, and it's going to come through someone that you don't expect. Someone's going to broker the solution or the peace or the healing of that situation. And I have to say, you've just got a smile that just breaks hearts. And yet, as a person, you've just got love and compassion for people. And you're very, you'd like to think that you're very self-aware. But I can tell you, you're not in all aspects. You just do little things, just thoughtful things for people, and it opens them up. They're just intuition. You just sense this person would really like a hamburger right now. You're getting a hamburger for yourself, and you're thinking, "Oh, John, it's been a while. The food van hasn't been out. It's not coming out for 2 hours. I reckon John could do with a hamburger now. I might get him a hamburger too." And you come back, and John can't wait 2 hours, and he's hungry. And that little intuitive thought gave him a hamburger. And you noticed he liked bacon, so you made sure the hamburger had some bacon on it. And when you're an old actor, and just imagine this is seen, or imagine I'm seeing this, so I'm sensing that this may have happened. When you're an old actor and you're getting old, and you're getting old, Tom, long in the tooth, and you sense that you're needed for a role, but you're not the star anymore. You're not the bright young whippersnapper anymore. You're not getting $20 million a film anymore, but they just need an older man, a father figure. You're in a scene here and a scene there. Right? The hours that you wait on set in between takes, and people just aren't appreciating you anymore. Not you used to be the star attraction, and now it's just a bore, and you wouldn't do it if you didn't need the money. Just that hamburger, that intuition, that intuitive thought of yours, thinking John would looking like he's hungry. That intuitive thought and that extra special, I know he likes bacon, because you've seen him have bacon and eggs and have 2 serves of bacon. That extra special, not only your intuition, but that extra special way you have of noticing people. Just, you caught that guy, and I'm just going to go with it. This is the first time I've ever done it. I'm going to, because I've seen this scene, and I could describe the scene for you, so you know. But that extra thought just brought tears to his eyes. And you've done that so many times. You've just had an intuitive thing. A person has shook your hands, and you pulled them in and given them a hug, and next you know they're crying. And it happens to you all the time. And it's embarrassing. But these are people on set. These are people that are authorized to speak to you. These are people that you've got to go and see John for the next scene, and you've got to There's people that aren't told to leave you alone and keep the distance. These are people that, expect to be interacting with you, but so they're not fans and they're meant to be professionals, but everywhere you go, people are expressing to you how much that meant to them and breaking down in tears. And you've just never understood why people are always crying, and why do you always get these intuitive thoughts and do these things, and what possesses you. And you're so practiced, you're going to be good doing these prophecies. You're so practiced in obeying these intuition that you don't even know it's your intuition. You don't even know it's spiritual. But now that I tell you, this is why you're having these encounters with people crying and thanking you profusely, is you're just a tremendously spiritual person. And someone like John, that you're blessed with that hamburger, is going to have an intuitive thought that when he broke up with his wife and she said this and she said this, that must have really hurt her. And I know John, and I've been in films with him. I know he's a really thoughtful person, and he would have never done that on purpose. And she just doesn't understand his husband. And he'll just go up, this person that you've done, like bring his hamburger to him, you're going to have an unexpected person broker to piece and say, I heard about that uh, in discussion from one of your friends. And that's just, you were married to you're married to Tom, but that's just not the Tom I know. I'm a professional and I've worked with a lot of actors. And he'll go into the intuitive things that you did for him, and how on the money you're always, your intuition is just so powerful. And he'll repair that breach. And that's a promise from me, just a novice prophesier, one of your fans. And I'm just so happy. I'm talking through Matthew, and he's reading my mind. At the moment, I'm crying because ex-husbands and ex-partners, there's so much regret and there's so much pain. There's so many words you would have taken back. There's so many arguments and fights that you wouldn't have had if you knew one day you weren't going to be with them. You wouldn't have had that fight. You wouldn't have said that thing. If you had the foresight, you would have never. But this was something, it wasn't a fight. It was just a misunderstanding. Something you said, you know. I know calling a male a pedophile will get me a punch in the mouth. I could never make that mistake and call a person a pedophile. But but there was a misunderstanding on the meaning of the word that you said. And with her experience, that word meant something different. Like the word Christian church. Hey, do you want to come to a new Christian church that Matthew's setting up in Sydney? I'm going to do a concert there. I want you to be my guest and I want you to speak the message. I wouldn't be found dead in a church, Madonna. And I'd have to explain to you, it's a 1 hour conference and a pep speech every night, 5 nights a week, and have guest artists flying in every night, and they just go out on the streets and say, Madonna's performing at our church today. Do you want a ticket? You only get a ticket if you promise to turn up. Here's the address. Yeah, we'll come. Imagine that. Imagine there's a group of crazy religious people that they go out onto the streets of Sydney every night and invite people to a free concert. And they've got a bus with them. So people who can't get there, homeless people and stuff, they can just jump on the bus and go. And you never know which suburb or which street these people hit. And they hit multiple suburbs. But if you're having a hamburger in that suburb, they turn up and invite you to the concert. So you used a word like church, which most people have got a real objection to. And she had a real wrong connotation on the word that you didn't know. And she didn't tell you. Her countenance didn't break. Her countenance didn't fall. She didn't get angry at you. You like can be passive aggressive, Tom, and so often people don't react because you want a reaction. And she was just assuming you're passive aggressive and insulting her, and you had no idea that she had the wrong connotation on the word. And I think I've nailed this really well. I'm really confident that I've got this right. And this person in the next year, I believe in 2021, it's going to be a celebration for you. That rift, that misunderstanding is going to be explained by her because you've shared this story a few times when people get close to you, and you've misunderstood. You've worked out that she had some problem with a word that you used. You've told a few people, and one of these people that you bought the hamburger for is going to have an opportunity just to explain he wasn't being passive aggressive with that. Now, I could be wrong and you mightn't be passive aggressive, but we all get into fights. You know, we all want our way and we all want what we want. And if we're not getting our way, we can start a Barney. And so I could be wrong with that. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but someone's going to come and fix that. And I hope you're crying now because I want you to do me a favor. And you know who I am, and my management, Matthew's got no clue how to contact people. But I want you to do me a favor when that happens. I want you to get in touch with me because I want to celebrate with you. Because I've had a couple of broken marriages, or Matthew's not sure if I've had one or two. I've lost and I've got regrets. And it just bring me so much joy, even just a phone call. So that's the first thing I want to say. I'm really enjoying this. That would be enough. But I want to try. I've seen other people doing this. A whole lot of us are talking telepathically together. And Christians, you may have a problem with that, but witchcraft can do it, and Christians can do it too. And so you've got a strong character trait called endurance. You've just endured. You had like a down season in your career where you weren't getting many roles. And Matthew hasn't seen the film, but there's another Top Gun coming out, and his wife used to cry in the scene when the other fighter pilot died, and she watched Top Gun a few times when Matthew was married, and she'd always break down in tears, and Matthew was touched when his wife would cry. And Matthew's just so happy there's another Top Gun coming out sometime. But you've endured for a long time. And not everyone knows goings on behind the scenes in Hollywood. And it can be tough and rough and ready, bare-knuckled fighting. And not everything is fancy and shining and candles, and there's a lot of candles. But not everything that glitters is nice and attractive, even though Hollywood glitters. And you've endured through the quagmire, through the mud, through the rumors, through the way that the media treats you, through the disappointments and the auditions and not getting roles that you want. And I just want to share, because I don't know this from media reports. I just know this because the Spirit of God is telling me. You could have got all down in the mouth about some of these things that have happened, but you've triumphed. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and you've just been getting stronger. I want to. I've watched Matthew's prophecies for a while, and years ago he did a prophecy for me. Um, one of the things Matthew does is give advice, and I want to give you advice. There's a thing called master classes, and Matthew was a member of Masterclass, and he had unlimited. He could watch unlimited master classes, and he watched one on writing, and he just didn't have the time to even finish the 22 videos of the one. And then he found out they all seemed like interesting subjects, and they all seemed like real talented experts, and they had good bios. So he just didn't have the time to watch 22 videos. He didn't even finish the first one. But you can do a masterclass on acting. You can do a masterclass on directing. And I tell you, there's so many people that love and admire you. It's not about the money that you'd earn from your masterclass. It's giving a legacy. And this form of prophecy is called a word of wisdom. And a king in Israel used to tell a prophet in Israel, ancient Israel, used to tell the king how to fight the fight. He'd tell him the strategy. If you look in the Old Testament, the prophet would say, yeah, go to war and do this. And the army would follow what the prophet did and do it, and they'd have a victory. Well, that's called a word of wisdom. And it's a direction. It's like an order. And I'm giving you a word of wisdom, Tom. You want to increase your joy in life. You want to leave a legacy. You don't want to feel like that old washed up actor sitting waiting for his hamburger. You want to bring the joy back. Do a masterclass. Do 2 masterclasses. One on um, one on acting and one on another skill set in the Hollywood mix, like producing or directing. And if you can, get part of the masterclass brand and do it under them. Now you can collect data from your masterclass and they'll pass it over to you, Matthew. Sure, I'm sure they do that. And then do a webinar for your students who pass the masterclass and interested in webinar. And then you can do an online teaching like a YouTube live, and people can ask questions, or a Zoom and do a webinar on Zoom. And people can ask questions. They come from your masterclass, they get all the knowledge, they've got all these questions, and you can do another teaching and do 22 teachings, or you can even do the webinars on the 22 videos in the masterclass. So it's a refresher, but instead of just doing the teaching, you can interact with the students and answer the questions about the teaching. Now that's going to take it to another level. And they can ask you a question, how did you get the tears when such and such? That's not something people normally cry about. What did you do there? And that's invaluable to an actor. And they'll have the questions about real things that you've got the expertise to. And you've been searching for the next step. What is the next step? What do I do now? Because the roles are getting fine and not as good as the next step is entering to teaching. And you don't need money, you need a legacy. Not only teaching, but writing a book. Writing a book on what your masterclass would be. Playing an authentic role, method acting. There's two forms of acting. Matthew doesn't know what the other one is. But whatever form of acting you do, performing a convincing role, uh, uh, a study on method acting, Tom Cruise. Right? Write that book. Pass the baton. In a relay, they have the fastest runner at the end. And the second fastest runner, the third runner, will beat the third runner. Pass a baton to the actors that are rising up today and let them outperform you. Give them all the secrets to make them a fantastic actor, and watch your students go and star in roles that make you cry. And the more you invest in them, the better job you'll do. And bring a new 50 or 100 films to the screen. Have your students play those roles. And who knows, they may come and pull you into it and have you produce or direct some of those films. It's not about you, man. We know that. I know enough that the Holy Spirit's telling me about you. It's never been about you. Matthew read reports about you that you don't like anyone approaching you, and everyone is told on the set don't ever approach Tom Cruise, and unless you've got an official reason to talk to him, don't talk to him. Matthew read that report, and first of all, he didn't believe it. Then he said, Tom's just an amazing person, amazing actor. And if that's the rule, it must be taken so much out of him, he just can't. He must be so into it, he just can't do chit chat. And he's such a fantastic actor. If he has to put those boundaries around himself, well, good on him, because I've loved every film he's ever done. And he got on that couch and jumped up and down, so happy about his wife. And the media went on, he's playing, he's a little child, he's crazy. Man, that's what you do when you meet the love of your life. Matthew's got so much. I'm so happy to be prophesying over you, because and Matthew, using Matthew's voice, because he just adores you, mate. And he's always wanted to talk to you. He always want to share his Jesus with you. And I hope that this prophecy has touched your heart. And if that breakthrough comes next year, which I'm sure it will, reach out to me, and let's both reach out to Matthew. Get on a 3-way Zoom call and have a celebration, because we've all got X's and we've all got regrets. And you can check out Matthew's 58 self-published books. We're all people who do excellence and study excellence and perform in excellence. And we got a lot to chat about. I really enjoyed this time. I could talk all night to you, but I've got to understand that you haven't got time to be watching everything. God bless, and whether my prayers are powerful or not, I'll be praying my best prayers for you, that this breakthrough come sooner rather than later. God bless.